If you're in your 40s and you've been told that you should consider donor eggs if you want to get pregnant, and you're just not sure it's the right time for that, then this video is for you. This is the second video in a series on this topic, so you may want to go check out the first one if you haven't already. After I shared that video, I got an email from a viewer, and I'm going to be reviewing that email and my responses to it. This viewer is 45 years old, has been through many treatments, including attempted IVF with donor eggs, which did not work out. And I have a lot of thoughts on this. I think it may be helpful for you too. So I'm going to share her email with you and my reactions as we go through it. And she has given me permission to share. I'm changing her first name for privacy. We're going to call her Anita. So thank you, Anita, for your email and willingness for me to share this on this video. I'm Dr. Natalie Masson. I'm a psychologist specializing in the mind-body connection, and I support people who are trying to get pregnant and navigating their fertility journey. Here on my Fertility from the Soul channel, I provide a lot of meditations to help you find your inner calm and to process the emotions of this journey, which can be very difficult. And I also provide a lot of informational videos like this one because I think it's really important to be knowledgeable and to be able to advocate for yourself. So I'll be addressing some of those things in this video. And stick around till the end because I'll be sharing some specific resources for what you can find on this channel to help with the particular issues we're talking about in this video. Okay, so I'm going to dive right into Anita's email. And she wrote, I'm a subscriber of Fertility from the Soul and recently watched your podcast on donor eggs and was hoping you can shed some light on my fertility journey. So you may notice she's using the word podcast. Just a quick aside, something brand new that I've tapped into on my YouTube channel is I've created a playlist that I've submitted as a podcast. So all of my long form live streams and educational fertility videos are in one playlist that you can now access as a podcast in the YouTube Music app. So you can listen on the go, you can download episodes, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows that that's a thing. I'm super excited about making this long form content more readily accessible to you because I know that you may be busy, you may be on the go, and it's nice to be able to listen while you walk or listen while you drive. Okay, she continues, my husband and I have been trying to conceive for almost 7 years. We're both 45 years old. We have attempted IVF 5 times, all unsuccessful, including the most recent one with donor eggs. All of the clinics we visited encouraged using donor eggs given my age and low AMH. In the first 3 attempts with my own eggs, the egg would fertilize and would never reach the blastocyst stage. They would block after day 2 of fertilization. I kept pushing for the doctors to investigate my husband's fertility further as his sperm analysis would always come back low and with a recent diagnosis of a very long word that starts with an O. I'll put the name on the screen, but I'm not going to try to say it. But it has to do with poor sperm quality. But we kept getting pushback. Each doctor insisted I was the issue and that my husband's sperm wouldn't be an issue. It is very frustrating when you are looking at a situation and either intuition or logic is telling you that there's something that should be investigated and the doctors are not hearing you, or for whatever reason they're not curious to look into these things. Generally, I recommend that if you feel like there's something that should be investigated further and doctors are not interested in following it up, I generally encourage looking for somebody who will follow up for you. Don't stop at, we're not curious. If you're curious and you can find out there are tests to test for something, I would keep looking for help with that. Okay, so she continues. Summer of 2023 was my final attempt at IVF with my own eggs. However, the one follicle that I had unfortunately had no eggs. I came to terms with the fact that I may never have children, so my husband and I decided to try it with donor eggs. I'll say more about that shortly, but it sounds like they were not able to retrieve any eggs to transfer on that cycle, and so you decided to go with what the clinics were saying and use donor eggs. So let's see what happens next. We ventured to a clinic in Spain that specializes in donor eggs, and in the first attempt, the donor produced 7 eggs, which were fertilized, but only 1 egg made it to the blastocyst stage using my husband's sperm. The doctor then realized I was right about there being an issue with my husband's sperm and decided to run a DNA fragmentation test, which resulted in a positive result, meaning there's a DNA fragmentation issue, which means this could be causing all the problems with embryos not developing once they've been fertilized with a sperm. He is now taking supplements to help reinforce the quality. This upsets me because we spent most of our fertility journey focusing on me when the issue is also my husband. I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a minute. I've talked about this in another video a couple years ago that I did on sperm quality. This is not my area of expertise. However, I am aware that sperm defragmentation is a test that can be done on sperm. It is not typically done. I'm not sure why not. Maybe because it's not super common that there's a defragmentation issue, but it happens regularly. I know people personally who have been through this and similarly went through a lot of IVF before that was detected, and once that was treated, they were able to go on and have many pregnancies. So the common thing I hear said is, well, it's an expensive test. And this just doesn't add up to me, because when I've looked at the pricing, it's something around $200 to $300, whereas IVF and donor eggs is in the many thousands of dollars range. So I don't understand why this is not done regularly. Particularly when you've said you're concerned about an issue in this department. So I am upset with you, Anita, that this was overlooked. To have to go through multiple rounds of IVF where the embryos are not developing, and then go to a donor egg cycle where the embryos again don't develop before the doctor says, oh, maybe there's a sperm issue, we should look further. When you've been saying, please look into this, it just defies logic to me that that is considered a reasonable pathway of assessment. So I'm very sorry that you went through that, and I can understand why you would be upset about that. She continues here, I feel that I no longer have hope with my own eggs, but listening to your podcast makes me wonder if there's still a chance. Any advice or suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Well, I wonder too, because it seems like you perhaps haven't really had a chance to find out what you can do with your eggs if there has been a sperm quality issue all along. So I have that question very much in my mind as well. So this email really got my attention, and I've responded with some more questions and also asking her if I could do this video that I'm sharing here right now with you. I was curious about whether the doctors she was seeing were male or female who did not want to look more into the sperm issues. I also wanted to know in terms of, what could affect her egg quality, how's her energy, stress level, health issues. So she wrote back to me answering my questions. She said that she went to 4 different clinics. All were female doctors who did not want to look more at the sperm quality. And then after the last round where the donor eggs were used, she decided to contact another clinic and spoke to a male doctor. He asked for all my husband's sperm analysis and requested that he complete the treatment for sperm defragmentation and then redo the defragmentation test to see where he's at. The only thing he recommends is egg donor as a way to get pregnant. So this doctor is saying, yes, let's treat the sperm issues and let's not bother with your eggs. Let's go with donor egg. She also says, I forgot to mention the one blastocyst, that's the embryo from the donor eggs, was transferred successfully. However, it was a chemical pregnancy which terminated in the 5th week. That's what triggered me to contact another clinic. So she was able to have implantation, but it sounds like, my guess is things did not develop, probably because of sperm defragmentation. So it sounds to me like it may be that sperm quality is preventing the embryos from developing, and one of them did get farther along, but did not make it far enough. As for health issues, I have hypothyroidism that acts up every now and then. I did have surgery for endometriosis years ago, but that's clear. Other than that, I'm pretty healthy. Also, my husband is. We are under stress from work and this fertility issue. The journey has been very stressful since I don't express myself much and have kept my anger and sadness to myself. I am so sorry for everything that you have been going through, Anita. I have responded to her email with another email with some more questions. I'm always having more questions to ask when I hear things, because one thing leads to another as we're trying to kind of put the puzzle together. I was curious about the plan with sperm fragmentation treatment, what's happening next. I want to know if she's ovulating on her own. Why are they suggesting donor eggs at this point? Did they do low or high stimulation of her ovaries on the retrieval that didn't work out? There are clinics who do low stimulation and no stimulation egg retrievals. You can look up mini IVF and natural IVF. And the doctors who are doing it that way, particularly for women in their 40s, are concluding that higher stimulation that is designed around women in their 20s and 30s may overstimulate the egg ovaries of women in their 40s and may cause ovaries to shut down, and that's what sometimes may lead to retrieving no eggs. And a common interpretation from the clinics that are doing the high stimulation is, well, we're getting no eggs because you're not producing eggs. And it may actually be that you're being overstimulated. Instead of getting one egg or a few eggs with low stimulation, you're getting no eggs with high stimulation. So I was curious if Anita knows about what kind of protocol they were using at her clinic. So she wrote back, I'm working with 2 clinics. The one clinic which we tried with the donor eggs resulted in a chemical pregnancy. This clinic is ready to try again with a new donor and my husband's sperm, only having taken a month's worth of supplements to help with the fragmented sperm. We would be trying with my next cycle, which should arrive at the end of this month. My husband's currently taking certain supplements, including turmeric, CoQ10, supplements with antioxidants. The other clinic, on the other hand, suggested we do nothing until my husband completes 3 months of the supplements and the DNA fragmentation test comes back to determine the next steps. They too are pushing for donor eggs once we reach a good level from the fragmentation test. Aside from the first clinic we went to in 2020, all the other clinics discouraged me from using my own eggs because I was too old. I pushed back with the first 4 clinics, but then had no choice with the 5th clinic but to accept using donor eggs. I wondered if my husband's sperm was of greater quality, if we could have had a pregnancy earlier with the IVF cycles. Several things going on in this paragraph that I want to respond to. First of all, you hear the difference between different clinics, how they're approaching the issue of, oh, there's a sperm defragmentation issue. One clinic's saying, we're going to treat this. We want to treat it for 3 months, test again before going on to trying another round. That sounds sensible to me. You want to test the thing that didn't look good to see if it's better, to see if you'll get a different result. The other clinic is saying, we're just going to go ahead and do it again. Sure, you've had 1 month of treatment. We're just going to do it again. We're not going to do any repeat testing. We're just going to get another donor and try to do the same thing again. How does that sound to you? It just doesn't sound sensible at all. There's no reason to be rushing when you're using donor eggs, because we're not so worried about the aging process month by month affecting the outcomes because you're starting with a younger donor. I don't understand the logic of going in with a known problem and not testing to see if there's an improvement before doing that again. So I'm just pointing out that two professionals in the same discipline, two fertility doctors, are giving very different recommendations how to approach this. So it's not black and white. What's the right way to do things? People are going to have different opinions. I also want to point out that nobody wants to give Anita's eggs a chance. She says since 2020. Okay, that's 4 years ago. She's 45 now. So since she was 41 years old, nobody wants to consider using her own eggs. I wonder why. They didn't bother testing the sperm, but they've decided that because of her age, it's not worth using her own eggs. Something interesting going on here. If you know anything about my story, you'll understand why hearing that people are being written off just because there's a 4 at the start of their age kind of bothers me, because I got pregnant naturally at 41 and 45 with my 40-something-year-old eggs, and my lab test did not suggest that I should have any better chance than anybody else. I had very low AMH, which is commonly used as an indicator of your fertile potential, but it's not an indicator of egg quality at all. It may be an indicator of egg quantity, but you only need 1 egg. So when I hear people being told that they shouldn't bother with their own eggs just because of their age or because of their AMH and age, it really feels to me like that's a pretty irresponsible recommendation. Currently, I have been monitoring my cycle and I ovulate every month with a 28-day cycle. I've always been regular except for some irregular cycles during stressful times. Okay, and she asked what I meant by low or high stimulation, and went on to say, if my husband's fragmentation test comes back with greater numbers, would there be a chance that I could complete an IVF cycle with my own eggs? So I responded to her email saying I think you could definitely keep trying with your own eggs, and you might not even need IVF. We don't really know because you haven't really had a chance to see what happens when the sperm are of good quality. I feel like there are some biases that are leading clinics to discourage women in their 40s from trying with their own eggs. They probably would like to see high success rates for the benefits of their patients. They also want to see high success rates for the benefits of their own clinic statistics. The clinic statistics, their success rates, I think play very heavily on how the clinic is rated and how much business they get. So if they know that there's maybe, a 50% chance of success with donor eggs, and their success rates with a woman's own eggs in her 40s is much lower than that, it's in their best interest to encourage the thing that's going to be more likely to work out. They don't really benefit as much from helping you try something that may have a lower probability of success. But really, you're not to be concerned about their success rates. You're to be concerned about your personal outcome and what's important to you. So in my email back, we had a lot of back and forth here. I asked her about her cycles and what day does she ovulate in her cycle? How is she confirming that she has ovulated? And I shared the opinion that of the two options between what the two clinics were suggesting, one suggesting to go right ahead with another cycle with donor eggs, the other one suggesting to wait 3 months and then test again, I said that the second one sounds a lot more logical to me. I don't know why the first clinic would be in such a hurry to move forward. But again, I'm always looking also at the profit motives. Are they rushing to sell a service? There's a lot of money being made in this industry. So Anita writes back and speaks to some of the things that I was just talking about. This is the problem with most IVF clinics. It has become a business affair and not so much about trying to help a couple become parents in the best possible way. I would frame that as, are they really trying to help the individuals work toward the goals that they have, or are they trying to push another goal that's going to benefit what they want to see happen? And I don't want to generalize about all fertility clinics. There's such a diversity, and this is just a trend that I've seen in listening to the stories of the people in my audience and in my coaching program. She went on to share, I know that the first 2 IVF cycles, the doses were high because I started bleeding throughout the stimulation, and in the second IVF cycle, I did duo-stim, and the second stimulation failed because the follicles ruptured. What is natural IVF? So this is interesting to me. This is not my area of specialty. This is just things that I have heard from reading and listening a lot to what others are going through. But it sounds like this could be a case where the amount of medication, hormone she was given to stimulate her ovaries to produce more eggs may have backfired and led to less production of eggs. And she has not even been informed about the possibilities of natural IVF or mini IVF. So in my email back, I shared some links to sources for that. And then she said, answering my question about her cycle, she's tracking with the Clear Blue ovulation kit. It seems to be pretty accurate. Are there any others I can use? Given I did get pregnant, I figured we could continue trying naturally while my husband's taking the supplements, and maybe that one good egg will surface and stick. So we see hope flickering through. I'm happy to see that because I still feel hope for this situation. Let me talk about the Clear Blue ovulation kit. So this one is a digital ovulation tester. It tells you when your LH is rising, which is what happens before your body ovulates. And it's not my favorite test. I prefer the cheap test strips that give you the 2 lines that you can see the line darkening to see how much LH there is. They're very inexpensive, and you can really get a feel for how the level is rising and falling as your cycle moves along. So I talk about that in my TTC Essentials free PDF and more extensively in my Fertility 101 course. Why I prefer the cheap tests over the fancy ones, why I think they give you better information, and also helpful to be aware that ovulation prediction is what these are doing. They don't confirm ovulation, and to confirm ovulation, you need another step, and that is either tracking your temperature. You'll see your temperature rise if you ovulated, or testing for progesterone, which you can do through a blood test. You can also do through at-home urine tests. So those are ways that you can confirm that ovulation has happened. If you're having regular 28-day cycles, probably you are ovulating on those cycles. Usually when we have an anovulatory cycle, I see the cycle length changing because body's not sure what's going on. It just starts again. So sometimes those cycles might be shorter. So if you want to confirm ovulation, there's a little bit more something you can do. The clinic was ready to start now, but I refused to start oral contraceptives, so I told them I couldn't get the medication in order to push back the cycle another month. So this would have been the first clinic that said, let's go right away. And one little thing I want to say to that, I'm hearing something in the tone here from Anita that suggests like you somehow have to come up with an excuse to not do what they're suggesting that you do. And I would love to empower you to feel like you can say, thank you for your suggestion. This is what I'm choosing to do. You don't even need to have a reason why you're not choosing to do that, but you do have a reason why. You'd like to wait until after you see the results of the defragmentation test before you go forward. Or maybe your reason is, I'm just not sure I'm comfortable with this right now. That's fine too. You can decide when and what you want to do next. The second clinic seems to be more reasonable, and I feel more reassured with them, now only to get them on board with trying with my own eggs. Again, here's a situation where, are they saying we don't recommend it, or are they saying we refuse to do it? There's a difference. Just because they don't want to do it doesn't mean that you can't, you're the customer. Are they willing to do it? And perhaps investigating to see if there are clinics that specialize in the low or no stimulation IVF that's a little more tailored toward women in their 40s. That may be something to consider. But I like that you have a clinic that you feel more reassured with them, that what they're suggesting is more reasonable. The next part of her email, right as she closes the email, are there any supplements that I could possibly take to enhance egg quality? I'm glad you asked about egg quality. So we've got the two halves going on here. You've got the sperm quality issue, which you are working on through supplements. And I would also encourage doing some learning on your own about other things that might be considered in addition to supplements, if supplements is the only thing that your partner has been offered. And then shifting over to the egg quality side, you've had all these doubters saying, don't bother, but why not? Why not give your eggs a chance if you're ovulating? Like, why not give them the best energy possible? And you're asking about supplements, and that is such a common first question when thinking about what's something I can do to improve what's happening for my fertility in my body is, what can I take? What supplements can I take? And I do have quite a bit that I've dug into and shared about supplements, and that is in a bonus section of my Improving Egg Quality workshop. I talked at length about all the research that I looked into and what seems to be the most recommended. In a nutshell, ubiquinol seems to get the strongest recommendation across the board, seems very safe. And then there are a few other things, but I don't really want to go into that here, because when it comes to supplements, you want to take time to learn about what's going on and what makes sense for you. What I do want to elaborate on, though, is supplements is one of many, 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 many things that could possibly impact your egg quality. So I encourage you to broaden your awareness about the possibilities out there and look at the many things that you could be doing to help things along for yourself, because I think it would be wonderful for you to give your eggs the best chance possible at this stage. So I shared some of those thoughts in my email back to Anita with a link to the other resources, my coaching program and whatnot that you can find on my website. And I said I encourage you to be proactive about what you want from these clinics. You don't have to go along with their approach just because they're suggesting it. And she wrote back, I will take a read through the links you sent me, and for now, just wait and see what happens with my husband's treatment. So I've really picked apart a lot of things in this email exchange between Anita and myself, and I hope that you're able to pull pieces here that can be relevant to your situation, because I think so much of this is very common. I'm going to summarize what I would, just from what she shared here, what I would be recommending to her if she were my coaching client, like things to look into next, what to focus on. She mentioned hypothyroidism, and that's something that I see a lot in our fertility community, issues with this. And I would really recommend looking into some of the finer details around optimizing your thyroid functioning. I don't think you need to hurry up to use donor eggs, because you kind of have breathing space around that. There's no hard timeline on that. But what I would hurry with is focusing on nourishing your own eggs. and I wouldn't really recommend, let's wait and see what happens with your husband's sperm stuff. That's another 2 months still. That's 2 months that you could be really, really doing excellent work with nourishing your own eggs. I would love to see both of these getting attention during the next 2 months, so that at the end of that time, if you get it all clear on the sperm, then you're in your optimal place too. So I don't like to create a sense of time pressure because we have so much of that around us already. But I do want to say, like, don't procrastinate on doing the self-nurturing and the learning and the bringing your whole self into balance. That includes reducing stress. Now, she's described a stressful work situation and stress around all this fertility stuff. Super understandable. And I have a lot of tools to help. You can find some kind of mind-body program. I have these within my coaching program to help you find that ability to exhale, let your guard down, open up and be able to share what you're experiencing, finding people that you can talk to about these things. I really think what she said at the beginning about holding things in, holding in sadness and anger, these are not helpful for moving the body into the most healthful place. This kind of holding in negative energy really taxes our physical system, and I believe that can in turn impact your fertility and your egg quality. So I would encourage Anita to get on a path of nurturing her own eggs while waiting for the sperm quality to come along. And like I said earlier, don't just focus on supplements, because there's so much more that you can do to get the most out of this. And finally, I want to say, just please don't give away your power to other experts who may be telling you what they think you should do. Hear what they have to say. Think about what makes sense logically and also for your personal visions, what really feels right for you. And if you want to keep trying with your own eggs, surround yourself with those who believe in being open to possibilities, who believe in the amazingness of your own body and are going to support you and cheer you on in this process. Now, I did promise you at the start of this video I would share specific resources that are relevant. If you haven't seen it already, you can watch the first video in this series about what to do when the doctor says it's time for donor eggs. I have a free download, 20 strategies for improving egg quality. I'll have the link to that in the description below this video. And you can also check out a special affirmations meditation recording I made designed to help with improving egg quality. There are 100 carefully crafted affirmations in there to help bring your mind and body along this path toward better egg quality. If you want to really dive into learning my whole system for improving egg quality, I do have my Improving Egg Quality workshop, which you can jump into at any time. Links to all these are in the description below. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos like this, and remember that your body is amazing. So I really want to highlight two, there's a leaf blower going on right now. Of course, all day I've been procrastinating on this. There's a leaf blower right now, shortly before the sun goes down, blowing. So I'm going to keep going and not let this get in my way. But it's really annoying. True confession, I don't love getting on camera and talking to a screen to make these videos. I find it very important to get good information out to you, but it's something that I struggle with. So I'm pushing through that so that I can get more information out to all of you who are watching on YouTube. But this leaf blower thing is kind of distracting, but I can focus. I will get through this. going to reframe the leaf blower like it's just some soothing background music. It's a soothing hum in the distance.